Hi there, and welcome to episode 3 of Choosing Happy. Today we're going to tackle the gift that is forgiveness. Ooh, this one is tough. I can't tell you how many times a friend or family member has come to me looking for advice on how to forgive someone. This one's tricky and not a perfect science, especially since there are so many variables and no two situations or personalities are alike. In an effort to figure this out and come up with some usable tools, I'm going to apply the why how method of breaking it down and coming up with possible solutions. Let's actually start with what. Now, forgiveness means different things to different people, but in very general terms, it involves an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. Now let's examine this carefully. Nowhere in this description does it mention condoning others' actions, behaviors, or responses, and this is key. Other key components are compassion and empathy, which we will further explore in our forgiveness formula outlined later in this episode. How often I've heard, but I can't help how I feel. This is almost always not true. This comforting statement is a choice and enables one to remain a victim in the story that they have created in their head. It leads to rumination where your mind replays dialogue over and over, and this reignites the negative emotions and bodily reactions that accompany them. As we now know from previous episodes, this is very hard on both your mind and body, and in turn, not at all good for your health and well-being. This obviously brings us to our why. We know that grudges are super bad for us, and it is in our best interest to figure out how to forgive those who we believe have wronged us in some way. When someone wrongs you somehow, you might feel pretty sure that you'll never be able to get over it. But not being able to forgive can harm you most. Forgiveness might seem challenging, in part because it's often misunderstood. You might think that forgiving someone means forgetting what happened, making out like the pain they caused was no big deal, or automatically resuming your previous relationship. In reality, forgiveness means choosing to let go of your anger, hurt, and desire for vengeance. Now, this bears repeating. Choosing to let go of your anger, hurt, and desire for vengeance. So you think you're ready to forgive but have no idea where to start? That's okay. It's not always easy, but I'm here to help. Many people view forgiveness as something that helps the person being forgiven. Where it certainly can make them feel better, forgiveness actually benefits you most of all. When you can't forgive, your emotional wounds can't close and heal. When you forgive, you're not saying what someone did was okay. You're deciding to let go of the burden of stuck and unresolved emotions. Forgiveness, in other words, enables you to begin moving away from anger and resentment before they creep into all the areas of your life. Harboring anger towards someone who hurt you doesn't just affect your relationship with that person. Grudges and angry feelings can actually overflow into your other relationships. You might start having a shorter temper with loved ones, have a hard time trusting again, and have difficulty building new relationships. This anger could also lead to multiple health problems, including high blood pressure, cognitive decline, headaches, gastrointestinal distress, anxiety, and abusive behavior. Medical professionals have seen conditions like migraines, strokes, anxiety disorders, and heart health complications result from long-term grudges. Not only that, these grudges can affect other relationships. When you hold a grudge, your mind sees the world through that lens. In other words, you may begin to see all people as malicious, suspicious, and not having your best interest at heart. Now, on the other hand, by practicing forgiveness, you may be doing your health a favor. Forgiveness helps reduce stress, and less stress can have positive health outcomes, including lowered blood pressure, reduced anxiety, better sleep, and even improved self-esteem. Forgiveness may also allow you to let go of unhealthy anger, which can contribute to stress, muscle tension, heart problems, and decreased immune function. In general, forgiveness has an overall positive impact on emotional health, well-being, and empathy for others. It can also lead to more fulfilling relationships, including the one that you have with yourself. And as we've already established, holding on to a grudge, well, that's just really bad for you with no noted upside. Now, it's important to understand that you can forgive someone without resuming contact or picking a relationship back up. You can forgive someone even if you know you can never have the same relationship. Depending on the circumstances, you may even need to avoid contact. That said, everyone makes mistakes. When a loved one hurts you, forgiving them can open the door to relationship repair. In many cases, the act of forgiveness can help someone who inadvertently caused pain to realize how they hurt you. This provides an opportunity for learning and growth. Forgiveness may not mend your relationship immediately, but it's a good start. Again, just to be clear, relationship repair is by no means a necessary component to forgiveness, just an option. Now, those are indeed some pretty strong whys. And we finally arrived at how. I'm now going to share with you what has worked best for me in the forgiveness game. My forgiveness formula. First of all, I said that we would revisit the terms empathy and compassion, as I see them as necessary to this process. Empathy is the ability to sense or connect to other people's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling. Compassion is sympathy and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. These two pair well together in the battle against grudges. Let's break it down step by step and see if this is a method that you might be willing to try. Step 1. Acknowledge that an incident has taken place that has left you feeling disrespected or harmed by another person. Someone has ticked you off or hurt your feelings. Spend a short time with this event in your head in an attempt to perhaps better understand the details and work through some of the emotions. Step 2. Make a conscious choice to stop step 1. Pause and move on to empathy. This will look different for everyone and is especially dependent on how well the parties know one another. The key here is to determine why people might behave the way that they do and come to the realization that these behaviors may not really have anything to do with you, but may be tied to anxiety, modeling, past trauma, early life experiences. The list is endless. You may only be able to speculate if you lack background knowledge, but the result is still the same. It leads to compassion. Step 3. Now that you've made it to the end zone, that is compassion, you might actually be ready to kick a field goal or achieve touchdown. Remember that you don't actually have to condone the other person's actions or repair your relationship. You simply have to choose to forgive them in some fashion. Step 4. You can choose to forgive in many ways. Try writing a letter that you may or may not send, maybe an email in the same tone, detailing the forgiveness but not condoning the disrespect. Telling friends and or family of your emotional growth through forgiveness. Focusing on the forgiveness during prayer or meditation, or maybe just forgiving in your own heart and head. The bottom line is that it primarily benefits you, and you are not terribly concerned how it affects them because that is not the point of the exercise. Now, this may sound pretty simple and straightforward, but it's really not. It takes some real soul searching and practice. It often takes time and energy to execute effectively, but if you nail this technique, it's so worth it. Forgiveness is a gift that you give to yourself. It's a genuine form of self-love. As I end this episode, I encourage you to share it with that person or persons that you know are struggling with forgiveness. And as always, I will be eagerly awaiting the results that may pop up in the comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing if you've chosen to do so, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next episode.